Well, let me show you how to research this article. I'm going to go through the first section we're looking at. This is a little bit tough. Not that bad, but it takes a minute or two. And that is, I want you to research the rebuttal of their argument. And at first you might think, well, how do I do that? And you know from reading the 97%, the consensus, the myth of the 97%, that the fossil fuel industry is so threatened by this percentage. That many climatologists believe fossil fuels are causing climate change, that they have to knock it down. And so they're very dishonest, but they're dishonest in a very sophisticated way. So this reads very well. They quote people. They've got footnotes. It sounds like, my God, those scientists, they sure are liars. And so there's an easy way to do this. Now, I'm going to reference this quote here. Cook's paper was the subject of much criticism. Richard Toll, a professor at the University of Sussex, warned that this claim, frequently repeated, that's 97% of climatologists agree that fossil fuels are causing global warming. So this claim, frequently repeated in debates among climate policy, does not stand. In other words, it's not true. A trend in composition is mistaken for a trend in endorsement. Reported results are inconsistent and biased. The sample is not representative and contains many irrelevant papers. Overall data quality is low. And this is used in the context of saying the 97% is a myth. And if you read that, you've got somebody of professional standing. It's a kind of a resounding, it sounds like, rebuttal. And so you want to find out, well, what's behind this? And so what I would recommend, and well, what I want you to do actually, is take a couple of the authors. Toll isn't actually a climate denialist. He's just quoted out of context. But Ligatis is there. So take a couple of authors and go into a Google search. Skeptical science, a few authors, and just a key word. In this case, a key number, 97%. And skeptical science is a group of scientists, climatologists, who in their free time basically debunk climate denial, one statement at a time. They have some really good copy. And so, outside of this class, if somebody says something really bogus about, the sun is causing global temperatures to rise, check it out in Skeptical Science. You'll find out that they rebut things pretty well. It's a really solid group. I like them a lot. We're lucky we have them. So, I searched Skeptical Science, 2 authors, Toll, Ligatis, 97%. And I'm just following these first 4 citations. So in the first one, you might want to scroll down here. There's, it's not that much reading. It's just a couple of pages talking about how the result is quite robust. And then Cook, who is the author of this, basically a nice little 8 or 9 minute video at the bottom where he explains how he came about with his results. So that's one way to kind of unpack it. Another way, you remember in the article, Toll is the one who they quoted as saying that the data basically is no good. Look at what Toll said further on. There's no doubt in my mind that the literature on climate change overwhelmingly supports the hypothesis that climate change is caused by humans. I have very little reason to doubt that the consensus is indeed correct. So what they did is they took Toll out of context, found a couple of words where he was critical of the data, but they didn't manage to pull in this robust endorsement that there's no doubt in his mind that climate change is caused by humans. And this is really cool. And then they go into analysis of how Toll found different numbers, but check it out. These are Cook's numbers. 97%, 97%. Slight change, 38.96, 38.60. So maybe it's a drop by a fraction of a percent. These are Toll's numbers. Even by his different way of analyzing the 12,000 articles Cook looked at, he arrived at 91%. And then they will actually discuss why Toll's methodology maybe isn't quite as good. All right? And then if you go to the next link, kind of a cool article here. Some of this is in the video from 2 links ago, but you get the idea is that the greater the expertise, that is, published PhD climatologists whose works show up in peer-reviewed journals, the greater the consensus. People in more remote scientific fields, maybe geology or something like that, not a bad field, but that's where you get kind of a 50-50, 43-57. But the closer you get to the expertise, that is, climatologists who actually publish and, make climatology their life's work, the consensus is nearly absolute. And then finally, when we get into Cook again, kind of goes into a meta-analysis. But one of the things, and you don't necessarily have to read all of this, but one of the things I like about it is coming off of the last essay. I'll just read this to you. This is about a year and change ago. A few weeks ago, the Bulletin ran a story referring to how Frank Luntz, the GOP message master who convinced party politicians to use the phrase climate change instead of global warming because the former sounded less frightening, is now offering his service to the cause of climate action. The idea that someone who had once crafted talking points defending some of the world's worst carbon polluters had changed his tune to now advocate for cleaner, safer, healthier energy alternatives seemed to signal the dawn of a new era, right? Not so fast. I just thought you'd enjoy that Frank Luntz has finally come around as well. And then, of course, the Koch brothers and their fossil fuel funded groups are trying to sue and, trying to tell people not to use the 97%. Obviously, it puts their fossil fuel industry profits at threat. So anyway, it's a simple process, that's all. You read your section, you get an idea, you use your critical thinking. Why is that 97% such a target for the fossil fuel industry? And they knock it down. They knock it down to like 0.3% or something. It's nuts. And then look at a couple of authors. Just go get a couple of authors' last names. Skeptical Science, and a key word, I would say, but here I'm using a key number. So I searched that. Skeptical Science, Toll, Ligates, 97%. And even looking at the 4 articles, you get a pretty robust rebuttal. And there's another one I didn't search for, but basically Cook is the author of the study, asked the 12,000 scientists to self-report. That is, do you believe that climate change is caused by humans? And the percentage was even higher when they self-reported. And so just keep in mind what's going on with the heritage. That's a very frightening figure, because that means every scientist, virtually every scientist, every climatologist agrees that we are warming up the planet. And so they do whatever they can to knock it down. And that's what I'd like you to do, is research it and get an idea of how they misrepresent the data. I think that would be pretty cool. And look at some of the stronger counter arguments, okay? So that's the research end of this. And again, Skeptical Science will be a great source of rebuttals. The formula is simple. Whatever section you're doing, it's Skeptical Science. A couple of key authors, a couple of keywords, and you should be on your way to getting a pretty robust rebuttal, because what they do is they take the key attack arguments of fossil fuel funded disinformation groups, and they kind of give you the backstory. So I hope this helps you.